Alright guys, so I'm not there today, but we're still going to do your quick lesson, and then you're going to go directly into your playlist time. There will not be anybody working on their PRBL today, so this is a great day for you to get caught up on some things. There is a new DOL in the tray, and there is also a new flipped on Google Classroom. So here is your notes that we started on yesterday, and I told you that we are not going to finish yesterday, but we will finish today. So I will try to keep it as quickly as possible. I do not have my journal with me at home, so I'm going to write on top of the tabs, whereas you're going to write underneath the tabs. Okay, so this is how this is going to work. I'm using a mouse, so it's not very fluid, but let's go. So the first one says round to the nearest hundreds, and yesterday we did some, where did it go? We oh really, you're going to make me jump back and forth. So maybe if I do it this way. All right, so we are going to, yesterday we highlighted, so the hundreds place is here. Yes, highlight right here. The hundreds place is right there. And we are actually going to be looking at what is behind this one. So this number right here determines what's going to happen to the highlighted place. Everything in front of it stays the same. It doesn't matter what it is. Everything in front of the highlighted or the actual place that we're looking at, which is the nearest hundreds place, stays the same. We don't change that part. That part has to stay the same. Okay, so we are going to, I'm going to write over here on the outside. So the 3 and the 7, 3, 7, decimal stays the same. The 9 also stays the same. The only time that's going to change is if the highlighted place or the place we're rounding to is a 9 and it goes up. Okay, so now let's look at the 7. The number behind the 7, is that 5 or more or 4 or less? Well, it's 5 or more. So since it's 5 or more, the 7 turns into an 8. And then everything else behind it stays the same. Oops, not going to let me off the paper. Right there. So write this underneath that flap. The next number that we did yesterday, we highlighted the nearest tenths place, which is this one. And the number we're going to be looking at is the 8 behind it. The 8 is going to determine whether that 7 stays a 7 or jumps up to an 8. Everything in front of the place, the tenths place, is going to stay the same. So it's 82. And now let's look at the digit behind the tenths place. Is that 5 or more or 4 or less? Well, it's an 8, so that's more than 5, which is going to make that 7 turn into an 8. Everything else behind it turns into a 0, and you've rounded that decimal to the nearest tenths. All right, let's look at the next one. We're rounding to the nearest tenths again, which is the 7. Come on. Come on. Nope, not that one. Not what I wanted you to do. The 7 right here. Oh my good gravy. There we go. All right. And the number that's going to determine whether or not it stays a 7 or changes to an 8 is the number behind it. Everything in front of that place, the tenths place, will stay the same. So we have a 7 and a decimal. Since the 8 behind the tenths place is more than 5, then the 7 is not going to stay the same. It's going to jump up to an 8. And since there's 2 digits behind it, those turn into zeros. Okay, 2 more and then we're done. Rounding to the nearest hundreds, which is this digit right here. The number behind it determines whether or not the 7 stays as 7 or if it bumps up to an 8. Everything in front of the hundreds place stays the same. So 93.4 stays, ooh, that's a horrible 4, stays the same. Now, look at the 7 and look at the digit behind it. The digit behind it is a 1. Is that more than 5 or less than 5? Yes, so 4 or less, let it rest, which means the 7 gets to rest at being a 7. It doesn't do anything else. It stays a 7. There's 1 digit behind the 7, so it turns into a 0. And last one, and then you can jump into your playlist time. Please make sure that you use this time wisely today. Make good choices, please. Fun Friday is this Friday. Anything that you are missing will keep you from going to Fun Friday. And it will be a whole class time on this Friday. So the nearest tenth, ooh, that's a 0. Ooh, my goodness. Go away. Your nearest tenth's a 0. And we're going to look at the digit behind it, which is a 4. Everything in front of the nearest tens stays the same. This is why it's really good when you're doing rounding. Whatever they're asking you for, whatever they're asking you to round to highlight it somehow, make it pop. This will help you with understanding which numbers stay the same, which number changes, and which number turns to 0. Okay? All right, so looking at that 0. Right now it's a 0. The number behind it makes us decide whether or not it gets to jump up to a 1 or it has to stay a 0. Well, the number behind it is a 4, and that's less than 5. So 4 or less, let it rest. So 0 gets to rest at being a 0. Everything else behind it, there's 2 places behind it, 2 digits, they turn into a 0 as well. Now, this is how I know you did your work. I want you to open up all of your flaps so that I can see your work underneath your flaps. I want you to press the add button. I want you to take a picture of your notes and attach it to this video. That way I know that you did your notes and you followed directions today. Go into your playlist time. Use your playlist time wisely. Do not make decisions that's going to cost you your Fun Friday, and I will see you tomorrow.